Hello and welcome to the Stringer Podcast number 43, a crossover episode. Another one of these. I thought it was fitting. We're in that last month of the NHL season, pushing on, counting down to the playoffs, and everyone's looking for that last wild card spot. So I brought in my friends, Frank Krupe and Holly Nimmons from the Jock and Jill Show podcast. Jock and Jill podcast show, however which way they do it. They have a ton of great guests this past year after launching. They've had Steven Stamkos, they've had Big Daddy, former Maple Leafs player, they had the Gauntz brothers, they had Mike Camilleri, amazing people. I'd met Frank for the first time on the day, but Holly and I go back to her time with the Raptors, so it was fun to catch up and obviously talk a little puck. You can follow them on Twitter at Jock and Jill Show, and the same on Instagram at Jock and Jill Show. Before we get to the Stringer Big Weekend, though, I wanted to let you know that Sportsfeld Podcast has returned, and you should probably check them out. Recently, there was a massive debate over which Big Shiny Tunes album was the best. I personally vote for number 2, and the conversation carried over on Twitter and developed into which album did the whole BSD legacy die. I say number 6. But head on over, check them out. You can find them anywhere podcasts are found. I know that's pretty ominous, so check iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and way more spots other than that. It's just easier to say where podcasts are found. Also find them on Twitter at Sportsfeld and on Instagram, also at Sportsfeld, or check out the website sportsfeld.ca, and you can weigh in on what your favorite Big Shiny Tunes album was and where did it leave off. Dylan, do you have a vote in this one?
I'm just shocked that you didn't pick the album with the Foo Fighters on it.
Isn't number 2?
No, My Hero's on 3.
I thought Monkey Wrench was on 2.
No.
Am I way off?
I think you're off.
Oh, damn. Whatever. It was good until 6. How about that?
We can agree on that.
It was good until 6. I want to give you a couple options for this weekend. Friday, March the 15th, Almost Hip, the Tragically Hip and Gord Downey tribute show. Dill, I thought you'd like this one, actually. 8 p.m., Linsmore Tavern, which is 1298 Danforth Ave. Almost Hip is the longest-running hip tribute band, having played their first show on October 6, 1990. You weren't even born yet, Dylan.
Don't tell the audience that.
He wasn't born yet. Since then, they've played 4 sold-out shows at the Linsmore Tavern and always bring the party. When we're talking about 1990, 4 sold-out shows doesn't sound that impressive, but I bet you the band's older than the Tavern. That's what I'm guessing. If you want more information, check out linsmoretavern.com. Saturday, March the 16th. All Them Witches, 8 p.m. at the Opera House. Personally, I actually don't know this band. I just love the Opera House. It's one of my favorite venues in the city, 735 Queen Street East. If you want to pick up tickets to see All Them Witches, I listened to a couple of their tunes on YouTube. They sound pretty rad. Head on over to Seat Giant, and you can use promo code STRINGER to save a couple dollars off your purchase. Seat Giant is a marketplace that connects buyers and sellers all across North America, whether you live in a big city or a small town. And in this case, whether you follow like massive stadium bands or just someone playing the Opera House, which is like a medium-sized venue, they've got tickets for you with more than 3 million tickets available all the time. Seat Giant has a distinct marketplace advantage. Again, head over to seatgiant.com and use promo code STRINGER, and you can save yourself a couple dollars off the tickets that you buy. Sunday, March the 17th, Toronto Comic-Con. I wanted to give these guys some love because they were great to me last year. I was able to go out. They showed me around. I got to meet a lot of the people that were signing autographs. I bought some stuff. There's a Bumblebee head that sits in our office currently. That was from that trip to Comic-Con this year. Features Hellboy's Ron Perlman, Fantastic Beast Dan Fogler. This is my favorite, Star Trek's John Delancey. Q from the TNG series, and then also he had a handful of roles in Voyager as well. Jaleel White, also Family Matters Urkel. I feel bad for that guy because I feel he was never going to live it down, and he probably didn't make enough money from that, like being that young in that situation, being on that show, that it's really worth what he's probably had to put up with his whole life. But now he gets to do fun things like Comic-Con, and we get to give him hugs and take selfies with him. So go meet Jaleel White. Metro Toronto Convention Center, 255 Front Street West. It opens Sunday at 10 a.m., but it's also open Friday and Saturday. TorontoComicCon.com to find out more information and get your tickets. $10 for youth and $20 for adults. Sounds like a pretty exciting weekend for some of us. But for others, you might think it's pretty lame. I appreciate that. You might not know or want to even care about John Delancey and the Star Trek TNG series. So remember, because our ideas aren't for everyone, you can do one of two things about it. You can either reach out to us, let us know what you have coming up, and we'll be happy to promote it at Stringer Podcast on Twitter, or events at thestringer.ca, or you can go to seatgiant.ca and figure out your own weekend. You don't need me to do it. They have tickets for concerts, sporting events, theater, live shows, comedy, all sorts of stuff. Remember, whether you're in a big city or small, all across North America, they've got tickets for you. And if you use promo code STRINGER, you'll always save yourself a couple dollars off your tickets. Ain't that fancy? I'm here for the people, Dylan. I'm here to help out. I'm trying to get you less money spent on your tickets, or just saving some of those nasty transaction fees that we all pay way too much of. All right, after the hop, we have Jock and Jill show, Frank Krupe, Holly Nimmons. It's this conversation went 1,000 different ways, but I think it just speaks to the energy we had in the room and our ability to laugh as a group. It was a lot of fun to revisit so many of these different hockey tales with a couple people that are just as nerdy and passionate as I am. As if you've listened to this before, you know there's only one thing that separates us from the Jock and Jill show, and that's a little thing I like to call the sax. When I got our last office, it was literally just me.
Okay.
Which was weird. Like, it was an office about half the size of this one.
Makes you want to just work from home.
And it was just, see, I learned earlier in life that I'm not good at it.
Oh, okay.
Working from home isn't
tough.
something I'm great
I
at.
end up taking 3 naps and
That's what I never get.
catching up,
I
yeah.
never get into work.
That's fair.
And if
I can like once a week. Like
if I I kudos to anyone who does it.
Yeah.
And they're probably great at it, because I know some people are like, I swear by it. I work harder when I'm at home because I'm more focused. Me, I'm like, oh, do I still have like shreddies or whatever? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll do grocery shopping halfway through.
I think it depends what you're doing, though, too.
Probably.
Depends on the type of job you're doing.
Jock and Jill on the podcast today. Frank and Holly. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Nice to see you. We've been working on this for a while.
I know.
And I'm glad that we've finally been able to coordinate our schedules.
We have, and I do want to say to you that you might have one of the most amazing podcast voices of all time. Is your voice even real?
No, it's not.
Do you have a chip in your voice?
I have implants, actually.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. But you know, that's, first of all, you're flattering me.
It sounds like a robot.
You can stop, because we talked minutes ago before we started recording that I'm like, I don't have a radio voice. And you're like, yes, you do. And you knew the thing to grease my wheels coming in. Smart man, Frank Krupe.
Clayton, I think that you have a chip in your voice, like in Mission Impossible. Remember when they used to do the voice changers?
Oh, yeah.
When he puts the mask on.
It almost sounds automated.
Oh, that's automated, like a robot?
Yeah.
Like, this is Clayton Hansler speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you should just
Welcome to
continue
the
like
Stringer
that.
Pod. No one would listen. Like,
Are you
already
gonna-
no one
are you
listens.
gonna-
But
all of us, can we all
less.
do accents?
Okay.
I've always wanted to do my British accent.
Do you have a British accent?
I can do one.
Oh, yeah?
Sometimes.
Is that it?
Hello, how are you today?
Oh, that's not bad. I like it.
it's not terrible.
Did you take acting at all?
I did.
Yeah, I thought you had.
Lovely.
So just to
Lovely.
get everyone up to speed, Holly and I have known each other for
Yes.
you might know years better than I know
I
years.
think
because
like 6?
6 years?
6 or 7, I want to say.
Dates back to our time at Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment.
Yes, when I was on the Toronto Raptors dance pack.
And so was I.
Yes.
I was the backup to the backup of the backup.
he had the shortest tube top.
It was, at the time, very flattering. Shortly thereafter,
I think it
became,
still would be.
No, you
Do you
don't
still
know
crack
me.
that tube top out every now and then?
I do at home. You
Really?
know, yeah.
Why didn't you wear it for us today?
I am in a work environment, and I have to be very mindful of the people that I'm around.
Okay,
Well-
next podcast, can we both wear them?
100%.
Amazing.
I would totally.
I will definitely come back
like,
in
you
then for
know,
that.
and you see it usually once a year. A different media outlet comes into the dance pack, and they're like, "Okay, today I'm gonna join the dance pack. Teach me what I need to know." Every year, there's someone different
It's
that
true.
does it.
It is true.
And I think I could this year break it. I kept going to Amber Lee, who's like the
choreographer.
and I kept telling her, I'm like, listen, this is my year. Like, I had
love
been
it.
around
Oh my
working with the
God.
dance pack since like 11 and watching the auditions and
You have. That's
learning
right.
all the stuff. I told her, I'm like, I think I have it this year, play that Beyonce tune I love. And
I want you to like go on YouTube and like learn one of our dances.
No,
Are there a lot
I'm
of
a dancer,
inner?
not singer.
Are there a lot of inner workings like with when you're on the dance pack team? Is there a lot of maybe like drama that goes on between the dancers? Like envy amongst each other, like you would have like with a sports team, maybe where some people are the leaders and some people are the followers, or you know what I mean? Like, what are the inner workings of a dance team?
Clayton, take it away.
My favorite part about all of this is that you made constant eye contact with me.
Yeah,
as if
of
you
course.
believed me when I said that I was on the dance pack.
I do believe you. Of
I
course
was
do.
not on the dance
It
pack.
is male and female this year.
It is male and female, but those guys bring
I know, they are
game.
fucking sick.
They're ridiculous.
They are
I couldn't
amazing.
touch them with.
I wouldn't
10-foot
make the
pole.
team now, to be honest. I was like looking at their auditions. I was like, glad I was on it when I
They're
was.
so
Shit.
good.
Clayton, I gotta tell you, I'm a little disappointed that was a lie.
Well, what can I say?
I'm
an entertainer.
You really
Frank.
had me going. All I could do is picture you, envision you wearing the tube top. And
No, I have the tube top.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Oh, no, I'll
All
wear
right.
that.
Okay.
I'm an entertainer, Frank.
Okay.
Is there a lot of drama that happens within a team? Well, first of all, I wasn't on the team,
Okay.
so I can't really speak to, any of those ladies' lives. But I will say two things as an outsider or as friends of the team. First of all, if you have any office of like group of people, especially at the time 20 or 21.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like anything. You throw 20 people together that don't know each other. Maybe they know of each other.
You're going to
but,
have
like,
friend groups that form.
There's going to be, like, really close friends. There's going to be people that, like, you just don't see eye to eye with every day. But at the end of the day, it's your team. Yeah, like, you do sort of become a bit of a family. Like,
What about players hitting on you?
we're not allowed to talk to them.
Nah, that
You
may
can't
have
talk to
changed.
them at all.
I did not.
So if DeMar DeRozan
No,
walked,
yes, at the time.
if
completely.
DeMar DeRozan walked up to you, seriously, or any of the girls, and was like seriously trying to court somebody, like very respectful, very gentlemanlike,
like basketball court.
Yes,
It just,
yeah.
Basketball
Yeah.
court stuff.
You see what I did there? Yeah.
You can basketball court them.
It
That's
just didn't
fine.
really happen.
Courtship on the court. That didn't happen.
No, like, they knew better, we knew better.
I knew better. Sorry to hear that. That sucks.
I think maybe in the past it might have happened, but not while I was really on the team.
It's happened.
I know it has happened,
It
but
has happened. I
it
think
did not happen with me. I am putting that on the record.
Stop
There you
lying.
go. Well, see, and you can only speak to yourself.
Exactly.
Right? And there's no point speaking for anyone else. I will say that I believe they've undergone a change, or they've re-looked at, some of the employee conduct rules. And that's how all sports teams have been encouraged to look at it, as if it's employee conduct rules
That's
and not
good, though.
like dance team versus player conduct rules.
exactly.
And I think it all stemmed out of a few different cases in the States, right?
Makes sense,
and a lot of people saw those as precedent setting. When it was brought to the court or was brought to employment officials as to, are these kind of rules allowed to be enforced?
Right.
Can I be fired for hanging out with someone? Can I be fired for posting a certain picture of myself on Instagram? This all kind of sparked just a reevaluation, I think, of all the rules in
Right.
sport. I'm trying to be as diplomatic as possible.
You did a very good job.
Yeah.
Knowing that I have a lot of friends still over at Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment.
Exactly.
And I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I would
No.
say they were proactive at looking at seeing what was happening in the world,
Right.
and realizing, oh, you know what, it's a time of change.
Exactly.
And maybe these things that we've just passed down from like year to year to year, maybe it's time that we look at them again and treat it with fresh eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
I didn't know you were doing the interview today.
See, this is the problem.
It's a conversation.
This is a problem.
No, it's just Frank asking questions.
See, now
This happens
now
a
I'm
lot
thinking
where I'm just sitting there. I'm like, shut up.
But now I'm thinking about Holly's dance career. Like, did anything wild and wacky ever happen while you were a dancer? Like, did you ever see a girl like break her leg, like trying to do a backflip or something?
I saw a girl actually when I was at Florida on the dance team there. She ended up
Gators represent.
Oh yeah, go Gators! But she twisted her ankle and it was just so bad. Literally, like we were running off the court and she was still. I should not laugh while I'm telling the story.
You're one of those people.
know.
You're one of the ones
And
where
I
someone
saw it
like
happen.
busts themselves
And I'm just
hard,
like,
and you're like,
oh.
yeah.
And I'm like, I
She's
ran.
gonna
I'm like,
bust
are
her
you
ankle
okay?
on the way out on the
I
going
know.
down the
It's
stairs.
probably fucking karma, but like I swear, like as she's like running, she tripped, she fell, she totally twisted her ankle. Like ankle is just out of place. I like ran up. I'm like, "You okay?" She's like, obviously like in tears, crying.
Right.
And I like run over to
clearly
my coach.
she's great.
Yeah. I just leave her there. I run over to my coach. I'm like, "Hey, she needs help. Like, legit, like the basketball game needs to start like continue here." And she's just like laying on court, like she cannot move. So obviously they brought out like some help. But yeah, I should not laugh, but it's funny.
I like how our first, like, "Are you okay?" is the thing that comes out of our mouth first.
Stupid question.
It's not
I know,
like,
it is a stupid
what can I
question.
do to help?
Yeah.
No.
That's a lot more to the
Seriously.
point. But it's true. We revert back to the most basic things. You're like, "Oh my goodness, did that hurt?"
Yeah.
And they're like limping. Their foot is falling off, dangling
No
to the
shit
side.
ever. Yeah.
It's awesome that you bring up your time in university, because university. What is it?
So here we call it university. Down there they call it college.
Yeah, that's what I
Even
thought.
though it is a university, but yeah.
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
For
No, it
like,
is.
Well, college and university are
and
the
then
same
you've also
thing.
got like, freshman year, sophomore year, junior and senior. Here it's like first, second,
that
third, fourth.
I've
Make it a little more.
I've had to learn that because of sports, and like even some like, what's my junior year? Okay, and figuring out, because it'd be like such and such player, was redshirted in his junior year and blah 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 blah. But the reason why I was happy you brought it up, because I remember when you joined the dance pack. And I found out you were with the Gators before, and I was like, "Whoa, that's fucking legit!"
Thanks, man.
Like they are.
They're legit.
Because I went through, I guess, my early 20s. We're a couple of years different in age. My early 20s were the Tim Tebow years.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So everyone knew the Gators.
Were you there when Tebow was there?
Yeah, my first year was when he won his second national championships in football. That's what actually got me into sports.
Did you ever talk to him or anything
Was
like
Tim
that?
Tebow?
Yeah, Tim Tebow.
And God.
Okay, so actually,
course, yes.
I have
Father, Son, Holy Spirit,
a
amen.
really good story for you guys. So I lived with 3 girls in university. This is, I think, my sophomore year, and they were all like good Christian girls. Yeah. I was on the dance
that.
team, and
Very, very liberal of you.
exactly. So they had a Bible study actually at our house. And so Tebow's mom was good friends with like my roommates' moms. They're all in Alpha Delta
They're
Pi.
buddies, Tebow's
in
Yeah, of course, yeah.
their university days, college days.
June
And
Tebow.
so I come back, I'm literally like sweating from dance practice, like in my sports bra, like small little shorts, because like
Dial
it's
it
freaking
back.
hot in Florida,
Dial
right?
it up.
too.
Are you kidding me?
So
Fuck that.
It's a PG show that we swear on.
no, so this is like something out of a movie. I walk into my house in university. There's a fucking Bible study going on, and they're all these girls are like surrounded there. You've got Tebow, you got his brother Peter, you got his mom, just like sitting there having like a nice little Bible study. Everyone's quiet, looks at me. I'm there in like my shorts and sports bra, sweating to death, and I go, "Fuck!" And I just walk into my room and I'm like, "What?" And
They started praying for you probably right after.
Right
they
there.
probably did,
Yeah.
but like legit,
Yeah.
They shouldn't
that
have
was like out of a
stopped.
movie. I will never forget that moment for as long as I live.
How do you guys know each other?
We don't. We just met on the street 2 minutes ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Get out. It's
Yeah,
an
isn't
amazing
that crazy?
podcast.
Isn't
We're
that fucking crazy?
just meeting each
Yeah,
other.
I know, right? Holy shit.
I keep trying to play. If it's come up on the podcast, I apologize, but I keep
No.
trying to
No,
like
no.
invent the story in my head and keep trying to place it.
Uh-huh.
Now, I found out that you guys live close to each other.
We do.
Yeah.
So, is it like a childhood friend thing where it's like
You'd
we
think,
were
right?
buddies when we were kids?
Yeah.
Was it like a post-secondary school thing, or is it just like, no, my parents and his parents, they're all friends?
Serendipity. That's what it is.
That brought you together.
Very
Have you ever seen the
serendipitous.
movie?
Of course.
Oh,
I
yeah.
watched it on the way here.
Did
I have a TV in my car.
You've
yeah.
never seen
It's
the
so
movie?
Fuck, I've never
exciting.
even heard of the movie
It's
before.
incredible.
Is it?
Yeah, it's worth seeing. It's got.
Go home and watch it now.
It's got.
Leave.
Well, we got a TV here. Why don't we just
Yeah,
throw it up right now and
we
pause the
should.
podcast?
Or we just keep it on.
Oh, we
Keep it on,
can
keep
do,
it
Watch
running.
it
we
all.
can do one of those movie like people do it where they
Yeah.
watch a movie and they talk
And
through
they talk
it.
about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And as it goes. Serendipity, John Cusack,
Oh, you got me
and
sold already.
and the lady from what?
Kate Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale.
Oh, okay.
Underworld. That was what I was trying to get to. She was like the vampire or the Lorcan. What do they call the Dylan? Have you seen Underworld? No? No. He turns his microphone down so he doesn't have to speak. They're not called Lorcans. They're called something. They call werewolves something funny.
It's a good
in
movie,
Underworld.
though.
Okay.
It's a great movie.
Got to see it.
Anyway, Serendipity takes place in New York.
Yeah.
And their reuniting is very serendipitous.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
And so it's how you guys met.
So that's kind of
Clearly.
how we
Yeah, take it away.
how we met. Yeah, so we started a hockey podcast, Holly and I, called the Jock and Jill Show, and it's dedicated to long form conversation with personalities from the hockey world. So
Yep, please go like, follow, subscribe, review, rate.
Yeah.
Tweet.
Whoa, have you said that before? To twit it?
twat it.
Ig it?
Yeah.
IG?
Oh, yeah.
Ig it, yeah.
Ig that thing to
That'd
death.
be great.
Yeah. So,
But how did you guys...
yeah. So okay. So
You didn't even get to the origin story.
I'm giving you the
You got to the end.
giving you the mid level overview.
Everyone knows that. This is called a crossover episode with Jock and Jill.
Right. Okay. So we'll back up then. I actually reached out to Holly on LinkedIn Recruiter, maybe about a little over a year ago. I think it was.
No, more than that. It was like a year and a half
I think
ago.
it was. I don't know if it was quite a year and a half, but it was. Somewhere
I
in
remember
between
it was
there.
in the summer of 2017.
No, it wasn't in the summertime.
Yes, because I was at Wonderland when I got the message.
Okay. Either way, it was.
That's when
we'll
she
say-
read it. That's not when you reached out.
Right.
Don't
right.
worry, Frank.
It's say 18
I
minutes.
got
Yeah,
you.
I'm used to girls taking 2 months to respond to my messages, so even if they do at all, so it's okay. But
You see the little, it's been read, and then they don't respond.
Fuck.
You're just waiting for the ... to appear to say that they're writing something.
Never comes.
They don't do that either.
no.
And then you're like, oh, well, maybe they just opened it by accident. Or
Guys,
maybe
come
they
on.
didn't
It's
realize.
like it's playing hard to get.
Hey.
Have you never heard like leaving someone on red? Read?
Yeah.
Or,
On-
is it red or read?
Red.
On
Red.
red.
Red?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not on LinkedIn, though. That's like very professional.
It does happen on
Is
LinkedIn
that-
though.
Really?
Oh,
It happened, well,
absolutely.
clearly.
It happens. It happens all the time with.
Pretty sure I answered right away. I don't know.
It happens all the time when you're prospecting people, like for sales. But you know what? When that happens, you just reel your lure in and you fucking cast it again. So it's not that big of a deal. But anyways, so I messaged Holly on LinkedIn and I said, hey, I've got an idea for a hockey. I mean, we're both big sports fans and we both have a passion for media and podcasting. But
Absolutely.
I shot her a message. I did a legit LinkedIn search. So I put keywords in. I put in, female. I put in media background.
And I just kept popping up.
Co-host, and her face was splattered all over every page. So
You live close to each other, but you never knew each other before
really.
Frank, you
No.
reached out.
Not
So
really.
actually, no. I did know of Frank
she knew of me.
in high school.
Yes.
Because one of my girlfriends had a crush on him.
So you knew of Frank, but I guess you guys had never really crossed paths.
Yeah, no, we never had.
Not really. I mean, we lived like literally
Some mutual friends.
kilometer and a
stuff,
half
but
from each other, which was funny. And we went to different high schools, different elementary schools. My cousins actually lived on her street.
Yeah.
And the families knew each other.
Wow.
And I think maybe
It was one of those when we finally met up for like a coffee to just chat about the potential of doing the podcast.
no, we met up for a beer. We don't fuck around.
Yeah, no, we did.
We
You tried to be
Beer,
so,
uh,
after
met for
all
beer,
of
yeah.
this,
Professional.
after like
Yeah, fuck
swearing
that.
at a Bible like conference, you're like,
It was a Bible study,
and
damn it.
it's basically a conference,
Yeah.
and we had coffee. You're like, no, you didn't.
Oh, we had a beer.
Rich, I asked you this already, and I forgot before we got on microphone. Both Richmond Hill,
Markham.
area?
Markham.
Oh, Markham.
Well,
Okay.
Unionville to be
Very precise.
Very precise. There is a difference between Unionville and Markham. We won't get into that because we can make a whole episode on its own.
So you guys met up for a beer or a coffee beer. It could have been like a nice brown
Kinda,
stout.
actually. I had a Guinness. Oh. So there you go. It was a coffee.
What a champion!
I think I had what's the weird gin drink?
I don't know.
And
Russian.
tonic.
Russian.
Weird.
No.
He thought he was cool.
Fuck, what was it?
I don't know. You
I
thought
don't
you
know.
were like,
Well,
oh,
I remember my
good.
cousin was there, my older cousin. He's like, hey, Frankie. He's like, is this your girlfriend?
Yeah,
Do you
I know,
remember that guy?
That
The-
was really
the
weird.
big guy?
I
That's
really-
an awesome voice, though.
Yeah, that's my cousin. That's my cousin.
I
Like,
literally
hey,
go,
Frankie,
absolutely
who's this,
not.
who's this good-looking, tall brunette you're with here? I'm like, Nick, it's just it's business, man. He's like, all right, well, you let me know later what happened. Weird.
I know. It's shocking that I committed
Anyways,
to doing this
Family, I
podcast.
tell you.
Everywhere I go. Groupies everywhere you fucking go. Anyways.
They really are.
So you had the original Jock and Jill idea.
Well, it was...
I want to credit someone with it.
Well,
Clearly, I'm trying hard.
We came up with the concept, or like the concept we came up together,
Yeah.
for sure. But I guess the idea just to start the show. I mean, I did a radio show when I was in university, and it was kind of the same, not really the same form. We didn't interview celebrities or NHLers, but we interviewed people from around campus that were involved in hockey, whether it was the trainer,
completely.
whether it was the coach, the mascot.
It's the same idea.
Same idea.
Honestly, an interview is an interview,
Long
regardless
form interview, exactly. Yeah.
of what level they're playing at.
And I always, like, when I was in university, I was doing this, and it got pretty big. Like, in my senior year, we actually got picked up by the town's local station, WVAC 107.9. So the final year, we actually got on to AM radio, and we were like rock stars for a year. It was awesome.
How many people knew your name?
Everybody. It was a
At
small
least
town.
7.
It was a small town. There was
At
only
least
maybe
7.
a population of Adrian, Michigan, maybe only 20,000.
You said AM radio, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Oh,
big
yeah.
time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You said
Who the
rock star,
hell
your
wakes
word,
up
not mine.
university at
Right,
8 a.m.?
exactly, yeah.
So you kind of
Where
had
was
that.
I?
You had that
Oh, yeah.
concept. You had
Yeah,
that
so
idea of
Frank
what you
came
want to
me
try
with,
again.
Yeah.
like, just the idea. We started chatting about it. At
Yeah.
that point, I think I was also like, you know what? I've always wanted to, like, I've always honestly wanted to interview different players, basically, whether it's NHL, NBA, doesn't matter, because I always like knowing their life stories, and because there's so many of them have so many crazy stories that people don't know about, like off court, off ice, and that was always my big thing.
Yeah. So we just clicked. Like, I presented her with the, I had said, hey, we've always had this idea to do this type of a show. What are your thoughts on partnering up on something like this? And
It took us forever to figure out our name.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
We
It
had like
did.
50 different names that we were
It
looking
did,
at.
yeah. It did take us a long time. There was a lot that were taken already.
Yeah.
Like, we had to find something that was very unique, and we also wanted to find something.
Jock and Jill, very, very unique.
Yeah.
Very unique.
And really, the reason that we went with it.
Never heard of something like this before.
No, it's true though. I'm serious. If you Google Jock and Jill, there's nothing out there.
It is true.
It's nothing out there.
I do completely believe you.
Yeah.
I do. But it's not like it's not like the Harbingers or
No,
something.
it's
that
not.
would
but,
be very.
But if you actually, it's not. It's very common, and you would think that it would be out there. But we actually ran a ton of searches, and the Jock and Jill was there was a restaurant in St. Louis called Jock and Jill's.
Smart.
There's an underwear company that went out of business a few years ago.
Weird.
And then there was
We're
nothing.
thinking of restarting
Nothing.
it.
Yeah. Are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna come up with your own branded underwear.
Oh, yeah, just you
Next
guys
on
wait.
Teespring. I love the concept and I love the dynamic, and I think what works really well is the fact that naturally, and this is 100% a compliment, you're both talkers. Like you, and you're both.
Oh, yeah, we don't shut up.
You're both big talkers, and it adds to the energy of the show.
Yeah.
Right. And I would, although I would imagine a lot of people tune in for the interview, and the interviews are completely interesting, but my favorite
Thank
parts
you.
I think are off the top when you guys are just kind of
When we banter a little bit.
riffing off each
All
other,
right.
and then you bring in some old friends usually to solve a debate,
Yeah.
or you dial them in. That is, to me, that's very, again, a compliment. It's very formatted. It shows intent, right?
Yes,
As you
yes.
plan each show, you know kind of the bits you want to hit, and you want to know how to build them. How did that idea build between the two of you, that you knew you wanted to bring in some outside?
This was definitely more Frank.
Yeah.
Just because he's a huge fan of Howard Stern.
Exactly. Yeah. So
see.
our show definitely takes a lot from the Howard Stern concept. So when I was always thinking about doing the show, I said, okay, like, look at Howard Stern. He's the king of radio/podcasting.
Yes.
There's nobody that comes close to him. He single-handedly built Sirius satellite radio. It wouldn't exist without him. And he's arguably the greatest interviewer in the world. As much shit as he gets, when he interviews a musician or an actress or whatever, it's like the way he extracts information from them and talks to them is like nobody else.
And what's incredible, I think, about Howard is that people keep coming back, and there's something to that, right?
Absolutely.
It means that
his guests, they're all repeat guests.
Yes, you sound outrageous,
Yeah.
or whatever. You have this persona,
Exactly.
but you put people in a comfort zone
Yes.
where they never feel that they're at risk or they're
Yes.
at danger
Or they're being judged or
they're
anything
being
like
judged.
that.
And you can have everything from the so-and-so from the local stripper or whatever that is like this fiery kind of idea, all the way to like a Reese Witherspoon on the other side that plays the girl next door in every stinking movie.
Yeah.
And you can bring them all in and make them all feel like there's a reason why they're there, that they're valued, that they're going to have some fun, but most importantly, they're going to be safe.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, exactly. You hit it perfectly. I mean, he'll bring on anything from strippers to, A-list celebrities, and you look at the list of people that have come on his show repeat number of times. Like Jerry Seinfeld's done his show, God knows how many times. Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, Donald Trump. It's like look
Wahlberg.
look at the
on a
variety
lot.
of guests. So it was always like, okay,
A
like
variety of guests, they're all
Yeah.
men. So using Howard
But anyway,
as kind of a format or taking keys from his show,
Kind of.
to help build your format.
Yeah,
Kind
we don't want to compare ourselves to his show because it's a very different show. Definitely at the end of the day, but no, we definitely took keys from it. I'd say
For sure, yeah. So like one thing, I listened to a lot of him when I was younger, like growing up. And one thing I noticed is that he'd hardly done interviews with athletes. So there's very, very few athletes that he's actually only had one hockey player ever join his show. Who was it? I know Holly knows who it is. Do you want to take a guess?
Go for it.
I'm not. Dylan can. He's like the sports
Well, it's
guy.
the obvious one.
Yeah, the great.
He had Wayne
Wayne
Gretzky.
Gretzky.
He had Wayne Gretzky.
There
That's
you
the
go.
only hockey player he's ever had on.
Second greatest hockey player in the world, Mary Lemieux.
Well,
Okay, nice plug.
you could make an argument that Lemieux was better than Gretzky for sure.
I
could.
will 100%.
I would probably agree with
Every
you.
day of the
Well,
week.
I could make that argument, but and a lot of people could.
You can fight with anyone over that topic.
It's true.
All you
man.
can do, someone has to say that, Mary Lemieux, greatest hockey player in the world. You're like, whatever, Wayne Gretzky, right? And you can just flip it on the other side, and you could fight forever, and neither of you will win. You'll just keep fighting.
Exactly. You won't come to a conclusion
So
on
he had,
that.
he had Wayne on the show.
He had Wayne, and that was it. And I was like, why doesn't he interview athletes? Like, and the reason is because he's not a sports fan. He doesn't
No.
care about sports.
He loves his pop culture.
He loves his pop culture, yeah. So he has his, actresses and musicians and this and that. And I said, what if, there should be a show that is the same format as his, similar format that does athletes. So that's where kind of the off-brand, quirky
Yep,
comedy
completely.
and the call-ins come in.
Yep.
The guy-girl dynamic.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot of things that were, I guess, derived from.
I'm all
from
for
his show that we kinda
inspiration
took.
in weird ways. Inspiration, people can have a negative thought around it. They're like, "Oh, you're just ripping off," and you're like,
No.
man,
It's still
man.
our
like
content.
my favorite bands inspire me as a musician."
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Like you watched incredible dancers as a kid and they inspire you to do great things. You're never imitating, and you can't imitate. It's impossible to. And I'm such a fan of inspiration. And Holly, I noticed you were like, well, we don't want to compare ourselves. You're not, though. You're just saying we're
No.
inspired by.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it.
You ever heard of the old adage, "Success leaves clues"?
No, but I love it.
Well, that's famous Tony Robbins line. Success leaves clues. So you look at the most famous people in the world. What have they done to get where they're at? And fucking copy it. It's not that hard.
Frank, I see why you like this guy.
It's not that hard.
Yeah,
So it's like, look,
some days.
some days, yeah.
He broke all these out over beer. He's like, hey, have you heard the old adage?
Yeah. Maybe if I used that on
Oh,
LinkedIn
God.
right away, she wouldn't have left me on read for fucking 2 months.
There you
But that's
go.
okay.
Learn.
Is hockey the main focus? It has been so far,
Yeah,
right,
so-
in the season so far. But I know you have a history in it, Frank, having played into college.
Sat
right?
on the bench a lot, but I was there.
So
yeah.
don't worry,
Yeah.
that makes two of us.
Great
Yeah,
line.
right.
We're great at it.
Yeah.
I opened the door, shut the door.
Were you a goalie too?
I wasn't a goalie.
Oh,
no.
you had me excited there for a second.
There was a period in time that I wanted to be a goalie.
Uh-huh.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was. I was very young.
An ice hockey goalie.
An ice hockey goalie, 100%.
Wow.
And then I realized I wanted to skate.
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
no, they just stand there the whole time. If you're lucky, because then. I always loved the second string goalie because they were always there for you when you got back to the bench, and you could literally pick your conversation back up
Yes.
from where you left off. But it's like,
It's the best.
counting face-offs,
Yeah.
all the basic stats. They didn't give them any of the complicated stats. You could have handled it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
In the world that we're now in of Corsi, you totally could have broken that code
Right.
decades ago
Right.
if someone just let you count the more confusing things.
Well, backup goalies have we're going to get off on another tangent here, but backup goalies have a lot of other duties, right? You would it's not just keeping the stats, like anything from filling bottles mid-period, okay, to
I left that one alone.
okay, no,
Yeah.
of course, to and my favorite was chirping the other goaltender in the second period when the sides have switched. So the opposing goaltender is now closer to your end.
Yep.
So it's you and the other goalie on an island. And
So you can beat them the whole time.
that was my favorite time in the game. I said, Tandy, next one's going in. Next one's going in. I know. I'm in your head. I'm a goalie too. I know. And it's so funny. Like coaches would even sometimes be like to the backup goalies, they would put these guys in charge of chirping certain players on the other team because you're the backup. Like,
Completely.
What's going to happen? You're not going to get a penalty. Very unlikely. You're not really involved in the game. So it's like, hey, Kroupy, get on number 15 every time he skates by. Tell him he looks like a Nancy. Like, whatever, So, anyways, there's a lot of different duties that backup goalies have, but
I like that. Tell me looks like a Nancy.
And Nancy.
Yeah.
I think we would have we wouldn't have gotten along great, but we would have had respect for each other.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I realized that everyone was better than me.
Yeah.
I realized that I had to be the loudest one.
Of course.
Right? And so that's what I
think you
excelled
win
at.
there.
Yeah.
It's just going at. I was playing a charity game. I was playing Pro and Media charity game. And so Nazem Kadri was out of that one.
Oh, nice.
And a handful. It was in the
you really
off
impressed
season.
him?
And I did not. Actually, fair enough. Naz and I go back to his draft. And we've known each other ever since his
So do
draft.
I,
Perfect.
kind of. That's cool. So do I.
You guys played together?
No, but no.
Same story as me.
No. I'll really quick
for it.
Nazem Kadri story. So cool. So when the Leafs drafted him in 2009, maybe.
Yep.
Okay, I was in Montreal. I went to Montreal for the weekend with my buddies. We said, let's do the draft. We were at the bar after the draft, and Kadri was actually there. And we were like, hey, Naz, like, we're from Toronto, man. Like, congrats. And he came out to us. He was such a nice guy. He's like, oh, thanks for coming, guys. Shook our hands, took a photo with him, bought us a round of shots.
What a guy.
We're like, this is so cool. You know what he
Nice.
did next?
No. He drank them all?
No. He stole our fucking mitts.
What?
So we had 3-4 girls that we met, like, we were hanging out with for an hour. And next thing you know, they were hanging off Kadri's every last word, and they were gone with the wind. And we were like, God damn it, Kadri just came in. He bought us drinks.
Steal anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Unintentionally, he took our girls.
Not really.
Unintentionally, they left you.
Intentionally, they left us.
Yeah.
So Nazem Kadri, if you're listening, you owe us, buddy. At least another
I
show.
don't know if he owes you.
Yeah, he doesn't know us
We're
anything.
playing this
But-
charity game.
Yeah, no, if I was one of those girls, I would have been gone too. Peace.
We're playing this charity game, and I get a solid, 3 minutes of ice time a period, if that. But I'm up on the bench yelling, just giving shit to the other team. Everything that I could think of is coming out of my mouth. And we had two, ex-pro coaches there, as usually happens, and I get a tap. They're like, this is for charity, right? Sit down. And I've never been so proud and so embarrassed in the same moment, because I just got told by someone who probably beat the best in his day, to sit down and shut up. But at the same time, I also got told I'm making a fool out of myself. But I was like, no, I'll take it.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, always take it.
So I would have loved that assignment, to just sit at the bench and yell at people.
It was fun.
I would have stayed in hockey longer, I think.
It was fun. For sure. Did more
I wish we
chirping.
could have that a bit in dance.
Have that in dance?
Yeah,
Shit talk?
Oh yeah, I
Were you
kind of
there?
wish
But you're not on the floor at the same time as the other team, right?
What do you
No,
mean?
you're never in the same stadium.
No.
Like, would you ever be in a situation where you could chirp someone from across the court? Or
Ah.
from the field or whatever?
I mean, yes, I have back in university, but
Were you with the Raptors during the infamous LeBron picture?
no,
No.
that was I was the year before that.
Year before. So
And what was that again? Remind
Cleveland decided to take their position at the start of the
Yeah,
game
'cause
on the court.
LeBron always stands at center court
in the middle of the dance pack as they were finishing the routine.
That's wicked.
But it wasn't just, it was everyone.
Yeah,
the
literally.
team took their position amidst the dancers.
They just basically went around the dancers and just stood there.
and it was
That is so badass.
wildly
was everywhere.
widely spoken about
Yeah.
by media, because it's badass. It's also rude.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's look at the pay difference between the folks dancing on the court for the fans and the opposing team's superstar LeBron. Mind your manners. You're gonna be the center of attention the whole game. You can get the fuck out of the way right now.
Right. Was it
At
a
the
big
same
game?
time, it
was
was-
it a playoff game?
It was not a playoff game, but
It was
every
a
time
big
Toronto
game, though.
every time anyone plays LeBron,
Yeah.
it's a big game,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so
that was the year of All Star too.
was it?
Yeah.
You weren't here for All Star?
No.
You're like, I've got a great idea. I'm going to leave the dance pack right before this sport becomes really important to this city.
I know, right? Great idea, Holly.
Did you go back to school? Is that what
No,
happened?
I was already in school, but I started hosting for the Mississauga Steelheads at that point. So that's
And
also where my hockey
scheduling
background comes
conflicts.
in. Yeah,
all
so
over the
there was
place.
just no way I could do all of it. But
You parlayed your time with Mississauga right now into a guest recently on the show.
yeah, Nick Hag.
Holly was able to. Yeah, actually, yeah. Hag, was he the one for? Oh, and no, well, two actually.
Yeah, but we've had Owen Tippett in, and obviously a podcast just came out with Nick Hag, which was great. He was actually at the Steelheads game on the weekend. We just honored him for his
Aw.
time there.
That's great.
And
Yeah.
they honored the show too, right? Jock and Jill.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
up on the scoreboard.
the
in the middle.
Jumbotron, yeah.
And they actually, remember when Apple forced U2 onto everyone's phones?
Yeah.
They did the same thing with Jock and Jill.
It's coming.
Inside the Steelheads.
Takeover's
Oh,
coming.
just you wait.
Yeah. No, that's
You
right.
guys
Next
got
year
big
too.
plans.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's cool though. Yeah.
Got the merch coming out soon too.
Do you
The
actually?
underwear.
If you don't have, we should just chat briefly as soon as we're done.
Sure.
Because there's really easy ways to do it, which is really fun. Like, it's really fun, and we use it a lot as giveaways, right? And
Yeah.
just for listeners,
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
you guys have great listenership, and that interacts with you regularly. And because I always see the pictures of them, like, taking a picture of their dashboard or whatever.
Yeah, that's
which
right, yeah.
does not sound safe at all.
Well,
Sometimes,
a lot
not.
of things.
But you know what? You gotta risk your life sometimes
Yeah.
for like the good stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I like to think.
We don't encourage driving and texting, but
If you're gonna do it, do it.
at least
when you're taking a photo.
At least
of
take a
Jock and
photo of
Joseph.
of our show while you're doing it. But yeah, it's cool. We ask people to send photos in of where they're listening from, and
We just like seeing that like people are actually listening
Yeah.
from like across the world.
Yeah, it's
you
cool.
got some people in Australia, you got some people in Germany that are sending us photos. So it's pretty sick that just podcasts can also like go that far.
It's a neat, well, it is the World Wide Web. Holly.
Shocking. I know.
Emphasis
I
on
know.
worldwide.
What?
The internet.
globalization is a
This
fantastic thing that has just swept the
I'm
21st
still
century.
learning about it, guys.
She's like, if we put a podcast up in Toronto, they
can hear it in
They
Hong
can
Kong?
hear it in Munich.
No.
And you're like,
How?
Thanks, guys.
this is the level of teaching we have to get to kids before they start posting dumb pictures of themselves on the internet.
Yeah.
I remember
I've already
actually
done it.
going back to a
late
previous
for me.
employer. I'm not going to name who they were. They fired a couple employees because they had stolen a 40 from like the main area, went into a back room, would passing it around, and IG storying the whole thing.
Yeah.
All you had to do was pick up your phone, and you could see these two employees with stolen liquor right now in the back room. Not like, oh, we did this sometime in the past.
How old
Oh
were these?
my
How old
God.
were these kids? Were they kids?
They were not kids.
No.
They were probably young 20-ish.
Okay, so you gotta give them a break because their frontal cortex is not fully developed yet.
No,
And
I didn't know.
You make
No.
what,
Really?
You never made stupid decisions when you were 21, 22.
I could
yeah.
tell you.
Absolutely.
But not that stupid. No,
Well,
that's a lie.
That's a
It's
lie.
probably
Exactly.
worse.
You
No.
can't. If anyone under the age of 26 does something really
But
stupid,
I didn't film myself do. Oh,
you
that's
can't blame them.
Untrue as
Their
well.
brain's not fully
Yeah, I know,
developed.
right?
You can't blame them. Their brain is not working yet
Well,
properly.
and you just,
Quick
it's time to do it.
quick
if you're gonna
sense.
do it.
I guess.
You know why? Is because if you go bankrupt, you're not even 30 before your credit's repaired. If you
Yes.
if you get a ticket or criminal record, like it's off your record before you're 30.
Right.
Like, really, honestly, you have until 22 or 23 to get
Really
all
get
the
it together.
dumbassery out,
I disagree.
and then it starts. You think later.
Well, okay, so like.
Oh, he's still fucking up.
Yeah, I'm still fucking up, but still, anyway. If you look at the how your brain function, your
Sure.
frontal cortex, which controls decision making,
Everything that makes us human beings
does not
basically.
fully become developed until you're 26. That's a fact. I think. Check it out. I might be
Alright,
wrong
we'll
about
look
that.
into this.
I might be wrong about that. I don't know if it's exactly 26, but it's definitely in the mid 20s.
right around there.
Yeah.
Your voice got so serious that
Yeah.
I bought in.
See,
like
I-
amidst all the bullshit that you shoveled over the last 40 minutes, I completely bought in.
That's why I'm in sales, man.
That-
That's why I'm in sales. So I can just if you can sound convincing enough, you can
sell anything.
not yeah.
You can sell ice to an Eskimo, even though Eskimo's
No,
probably not
I mean,
the right
I
word to
would
use
definitely
anymore.
question half of his stats on the show. I'd probably question, but he says it convincingly.
Yeah, we have 10,000 downloads an episode. Are you kidding me?
That's incredible.
Are you kidding me?
Totally.
Yeah, that's like my favorite. My favorite stat is that 80% of stats are fabricated,
Yeah,
which
probably,
is
yeah.
great
Probably because
because
Frank fabricates them.
no,
Yeah.
80% because it's a stat. Then makes people be like, well, is that true?
Oh yeah.
Right? 80% of stats are fabricated.
It's a stat.
Did I just make
Anytime
that
Kind of like
up?
his whole
Anytime there's
frontal
100%.
cortex at 26, I think.
I was like, wow, 80%?
Yeah, 80%. That makes sense. I'm like,
There you go.
I gotcha.
Full circle.
What I love about the long format conversation style, obviously something that I'm really close to and I wanted to explore when we started this podcast, is the amount of things that I learn, right? Because you guys do your prep and you are well versed in the person's history and the person's life.
Right.
When,
Oh yeah, we've stalked them all the way back.
That's freaky. I'm going to call it research. You got to let the rest of your frontal cortex harden or whatever it is.
I'm past 26, damn it.
But you learn, are you? But
Sure.
are you?
Are you?
But are you? I'm not.
I'll take it.
So you do all this research, you amass all this information. A lot of it doesn't get out over the course of a podcast, right? You're always over-prepared. But you always come away with so much more that you didn't realize and so much color to their life that you never had before. It's the learning that I think really intrigues me and keeps me going in this format. What are some of the nuggets that you guys have learned? You've had some incredible guests. I think of recently Don Van Massenhoven, which is the referee life is very
cool.
interesting, very different one.
Incredible guest.
Because no one wakes up and is like, you know what I'm going to be when I grow up? A referee, right? But it was like we were talking before we got on mic, the niche jobs that exist, and it's weird to call refereeing a niche job.
It is
because
though.
we yell at them every single day. But no one really thinks, how did they get into life? You guys had Big Daddy, Bob McGill, someone I was able to work with for a period of time.
Great guy.
Bob, you had the brothers.
Gaunt's brothers are from
yes,
Markham.
the Gaunt's brothers.
Mike Camilleri, Josh Georges.
Right off the bat was Mike Camilleri.
Josh Georges,
We've got Steven Stamkos that you guys will probably hear at some point.
Stamkos we've recorded. We haven't released that yet.
Stammer came into the...
Yeah.
You had Stammer in?
So he's a Unionville guy. And he's actually a buddy of mine. Actually, quick, my mic was. I don't know how my mic got pointed down there, but I'll fix that. Stammer.
You do this professionally, right?
One day I will. So we both kind of. I mean, did you know Stammer growing up? I mean,
this is an exclusive.
I danced with his sister growing up.
You danced with his sister, yeah. So
he's the dance world, opening so many doors.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, seriously, shit, I gotta get into that. But Stammer's actually a buddy. He's actually a buddy of mine, believe it or not. We play in the same fantasy football league for years. He actually won our fantasy league this year. You motherfucker, Steven. I know
like he needs it. Like he needs it.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm like. Like, are you kidding
how much
me?
more pride do you need?
His team wasn't even that good. You got so lucky. He picked up 2 guys in the last week and he ended up winning.
The Mahomes guy.
Bullshit, Stammer.
I don't know about him.
But yeah, we actually had him in our studio, which was great. And he'd spent an hour and a half with us, and we got amazing. And it was a really cool interview because having known him for so long, I felt like he was extra comfortable with myself and Holly. Because
Definitely.
It's like,
of course,
I've known him for like we've been buddies for a long time, and it's like,
the stories were hilarious.
The ultimate shooting the shit, ultimate open book. So that one is gonna be really cool when it does come out, hopefully shortly.
Outside of just dropping that big Stamkos bomb on us, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else you've picked up, and what else you really enjoy?
I'd say honestly, like the real conversations that you actually have. Where, people actually answer and don't say, there you go. But,
there you go.
She's professional.
She is. Yeah.
But nowadays, either it's small talk or you've known the person forever. So coming into a conversation that you don't know someone that well and you're sitting down guaranteed probably for about an hour, it doesn't happen as often nowadays. So actually feeling them out, seeing their interaction, seeing their responses, and just almost becoming friends with all these guys. And it's been a blast, honestly. Yeah. I haven't had a guest in yet that we don't leave and we're like, oh my god,
that
guy
is
just unreal, or girl, because we've got a great girl coming on the podcast in the coming weeks, Sarah Nurse from the Canadian Olympic hockey team, and so it's all the different people and how incredible each one of them are.
In terms of, I'll share a specific story with you about, because you mentioned McGill.
I love Big Daddy.
Okay, so probably one of the cool, and if there's any Leaf fans listening, you need to go check out. It's episode 3 of Jock and Jill's show, and McGill fought for a lot of years with Toronto. But probably the coolest story I think from our interview with Bob is he was talking.
It's the year he was drafted. Actually, that was my favorite part of it. Do you remember what year he was drafted?
84.
80. Remember? I think you announced
I messed it up.
You announced it. I went through them all again recently.
I was nervous,
and you were like, you were drafted in 1982, and he was like 1980. Actually,
see his stats.
God damn it.
Question them.
Yeah. You guys need an official stat checker,
fact
checker.
checker. You know what? I was nervous because I'm a huge Leaf fan. It's it's Bob McGill. He doesn't play anymore, but whatever. It's still so cool to be interviewing a former Leaf. So.
He's incredible. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I cut you off from your favorite.
No problem. So
he
had a lot of really cool stuff that he shared with us, from playing with Grant Fuhr in junior hockey. They
scoring
were buddies,
his first
and
pro
then he
goal
scored his
against
first
them.
Pro goal against them. Talking about how they'd be in the dressing room before. They play the Oilers, heading out onto the ice, and they'd be in the room guys, we got to be good tonight, or else they're going to put 10 up on us. Come on, make sure everyone's be aware,
get your
be awake,
shit
get your shit together.
Yeah.
talking about fighting Probert was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
So probably one of my favorite things from that episode and just our podcast so far is he's talking about the night that Bob Probert was busted for cocaine use at the border. Which diehard hockey fans know this story. For anyone who's read his book, McGill fought him that night.
Earlier that night
in Toronto. And he says he caught him square a couple times and he didn't react. And then the next morning he wakes up and they're like, oh, geez, like, look what happened. Like, maybe he was on it. He talks about it in his book. And then Probert gets suspended for, I don't remember how long it was, but his first game back, he's fighting Toronto, and there's McGill. It's like, are you kidding me? It's very cool to listen to him talk about that.
Oh, yeah, you can hear the rest of the stories on the podcast.
I remember ahead of the I don't think this came up on the podcast. I remember ahead of the 2013 NHL draft, he was one of my long sit-downs that I had, and we talked about, I'm pretty sure, I need a fact checker as well. I'm pretty sure he was the WHL, he was either WHL scoring leader or he's his team scoring leader. And he did this weird thing where I think he went from scoring leader in his draft year to penalty minutes leader and yes, he finished his junior career with a ton of penalty minutes as well. Yeah. But I think what came in underrated was his ability to score, and that
really
it's always stuck in my mind.
Did we miss that in our prep?
That's okay.
No.
That's a really cool stat.
No, I remember.
Are you hockey DBing him right now?
He is Victoria Cougars. I only see 41 points there in what looks like his draft year.
Click on Victoria Cougars. Click on the actual team. Maybe he led defense in points. Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
So Barry Peterson had 147 points. Yeah. I'm going to dig up that old interview.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Anyway,
cool.
Regardless of what the numbers say, because they don't really matter anyway. It's just the picture we paint in our head.
80%, right?
80% of all stats are false. What really stood out in my mind is that conversion that all hockey players have to take that entered the league in that role. Right? Because they are still among the utmost percentile of skilled hockey players in our nation and North America. Yet because there's only so many slots to fill and you need someone to fulfill that job, that they have to convert themselves into
a fighter. Great point.
Into a fighter.
Great point.
And I always, because in this weird way, when you're young, you watch and you're like, oh yeah, he's a fighter. He was always a fighter. But no, they are skilled hockey players. I had the benefit of playing with Bob McGill. We used to have game day games at Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, where it was part of, we called it, we thought we were helping out the ice crew. We probably weren't, but they let us play like a staff game, and you get a lot of the ex-players, and it's one of it's incredible how much skill stays.
Insane. I absolutely. Oh my god.
And where I'm not.
These were the fighters, and they're so good. Like I played in a charity game. I played in a charity game with Brad May. Hockey Helps the Homeless. Really cool tournament that raises money. And Brad May looked like Sidney Crosby in his prime out there. Like the hands that this guy had, it was just like, oh my god. Like he wasn't like a pure fighter, but.
And you realize Brad May could score. You're right, but he wasn't known for scoring. He's not a top six.
No,
on anyone's team.
He was a bit of a hybrid of a tough guy, but it's just like, oh my god, these guys, the skill they carry with them. One thing about retired hockey players, they never lose their hands ever.
No, and they never will.
And they never lose their. They may slow down. Their skating may really decline, but you will never see the pro guys lose their shot or their hands. They can shoot the puck till they're probably fucking 70 years old.
That's why they're a pro.
That's why they're a pro. Yeah. And it, for me, as I've journey and venture through different stages of my life, you realize that if you can just have the same amount of focus, right, at whatever profession we're choosing or whatever career we're choosing.
We're getting deep now. I like this.
But it's true, and I'm glad that you guys are here because I know you guys share the same mindset. And as I said earlier, your preparation shows through that if you can just have the same amount of focus and intent when you plan something. We talked earlier. I asked you, about the format of your show and then how you have intent and you plan that out. If we have the same amount of focus in any one part of our life that an athlete can bring to that one part of their life, you're destined for success.
That's beautiful.
And that's something that I pull from athletes. Oh, thank you. Dylan, are you going to clap too?
That was
No,
the
He's gonna edit the clapping in later. That's what he can do.
We get full applause as if we're in front of a live studio audience. They're like, yeah! That was great!
I got you. I'll send over some sound effects after this. Some good Foley.
Yeah.
You guys do...
And that's one thing we actually haven't mentioned. You want to touch on sound? On the sound effects? Sound ideas?
Yeah, so...
I love the way you guys work that in.
Oh, yeah. So Sound Ideas Recording Studio is actually where we're stationed out of. And basically, a lot of our sound effects and everything come from there. So whether it's Sound Ideas, West Star Music, Hollywood Edge, Audio Hero, or Free SFX, it's...
Are those all different companies?
Yes.
Independent companies?
Within one roof.
Within one roof.
All sister companies of Sound Ideas.
Oh my goodness, that sounds so confusing.
It is.
I would
It's
hate to
great.
be the bookkeeper.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, God.
I would hate to...
She is there forever, I bet.
No, yeah, just like kind of keeping track of everything. And so how, to give them a little bit of love, because this is the studio that really you guys are housed out of, how, what kind of things do they offer outside of just, Foley and SFX?
Well, they've just been a huge help.
I just said
whether it's-
SFX, and it sounds weird when you say it like that. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
SFX?
Sound effects.
Wasn't FSX the old Pord channel on
FSX.
Rogers years ago?
You would know that.
FSX?
On
Remember
Rogers?
FSX?
I don't at all.
I remember watching that when I was like 12. It was on Rogers like after like 2 o'clock.
When you were
Can anyone
12,
else out there?
I was probably 30. No,
Damn, you look good,
no,
man.
thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
FSX, SFX.
Okay, never mind.
Sound
We got off
effects.
another tangent there.
Actually,
Sorry.
funny enough, the owner of Sound Ideas, though, he has a car that his license plate says GR8 SFX, so great sound effects. And
I couldn't have put that together
someone
without you.
changed the F to an E with lipstick, and he drove around for like months
Really?
with it saying great sex.
With
No way.
Yeah.
lipstick.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Could it have been someone that records there,
No,
every once in a while?
no. This is fairly
Good.
years ago.
Do you know the owner of the van?
I do.
All right. Well, I was going to say something, but I'll hold
Lordy.
back.
I'm shocked. I'm actually like shocked when you say, you know what? I'll hold back.
Well,
Because usually
you're
you're
showing
just
a
like,
little bit of
screw it.
restraint.
Yes.
It's in the first few months you've done some training, I guess. Frank came in with all these ball busting ideas. He's like, I'm going to change the world, and you find ways to hone him in and bring him into more of a structured environment.
At times, yeah. At times, he also needs to like get me together.
There's
There's been a few moments where he's like,
bit of
Holly,
both.
what are you even saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, but I think we should just go here. We should do this. and
I
you
just
gotta-"
keep talking until
Yeah.
an idea comes to
One
me.
thing,
Exactly.
one thing that Holly does do, which is good though, is kind of like what you said just to your point a moment ago. Maybe I'll have an idea or I'll want to say something, and she'll be like, "Frank, like that's probably shouldn't be saying that. Like it doesn't look good." I mean, I could give.
Yeah, like
I have a lot of
this entire
specific
interview.
examples that I could give.
Of dumb shit you want to say. and
Yeah,
she's
like I don't know if I want to
be
share.
dumb.
I don't know if I want to share any of them.
No.
But,
That's what the edit room
Well,
floor
that's why I'm
is.
here for, is to say no, don't.
Yeah, don't do
Frank.
it.
Right. Like it may say something that even though we're not intending to be
Crude.
crude,
Of course.
it may come off that way too. Because you have a variety of listeners who interpret things in different ways. So I guess she kind of keeps me even keeled on that. In that perspective, and
Yeah, no lawsuits yet.
no lawsuits yet. But if we do, my dad's a lawyer, so we'll be fine. No problem.
Your dad's a lawyer?
Yeah, so
Croupy
sue
Law,
us
yeah.
away.
Croupy
Thank
Law,
you.
yeah. If you need any wills or real estate done, call Cosmo at Croupy Law. Okay, he'll give you a hell of a deal.
So you know, Frank.
The last 10 minutes is just ad reads.
Just pumping.
For like
Pumping.
friends and family members.
Pumping, baby.
We're like, who else do we have? We have Clay from Clay's Plumbing.
It's like an Oscar speech. I'd like to thank.
Yeah.
You need any toilets unclogged? Call Clay's over at Clay's Plumbing.
Clog them and unclog them, right?
You want Wilson Windows and Doors? You can call Wilson Windows and Doors. They'll make sure your windows and doors are sealed and not cold, never opened again. Yeah.
Is that a Vancouver Millionaires
So
hat you have
maybe
on?
we edit this. part.
It's still Vancouver, not Millionaires.
It's the old Canucks?
The old Canucks.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Thank you. I appreciate. I was like stammering through.
Yeah.
I knew I wore this on purpose,
Yeah.
and I was like, I have mad love for the Leafs, but I was out west, not last Christmas, the Christmas before. I was able to catch a game, and I'm like, I gotta buy a hat. That's
It's got a
that's
good-
my
it's got
thing.
a- it's got a good
and
brim.
It's a solid hat, too.
Solid-
Like
solid
it's
brim,
just
yeah.
it's just a nice look. It's got the old V kind of what they had that down the collar,
Yeah.
I guess, of their old jerseys.
Yeah.
And I always liked that. I was never a huge Canucks fan at any point in my life, but I respected that real retro look
Really cool. Yeah.
of colors and to their jersey.
I like
if
it.
you guys
Color
are gonna
mics.
color. It is the color of our mics. Everything comes back to
There
the
you
color.
go.
I have to color coordinate everything in my
that's
life, or else I come completely unwound. Before we let you guys go, Dylan, we sound so official.
Before they take the chains off us and let us leave
Yeah,
the studio,
exactly.
right?
Before I say get out, everyone, Don Van Massenhoven, 100%. I love the Camilleri one. I have mutual friends with Mike, and I've loved his career.
Nice.
Bob McGill, the Gauntz brothers. This is a pretty impressive list you've amassed already. But
Thank
who's
you.
kind of on your bucket list?
Yeah,
Who's
good
on your
question.
pie in the sky list? That if we're looking through the rest of 2019,
Yeah.
that what I want is for you guys to be able to get them, and then I can call you up afterwards, like, remember the day you dreamed of it?
Yeah.
I
Now
love
it's
it.
happening. Who's
We're,
pie in the sky?
we're really, really close to getting Clayton on from the Stringer podcast.
Oh, he's a douchebag, though.
Yeah.
He won't give you anything.
I don't know. He's playing hard to get. He keeps leaving us on read.
Oh, no, I can check my phone. The email hasn't come through. I'm ready for the invite.
Okay,
Perfect.
I can tell you about all my playing days on the sideline.
I would love to get Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you
That'd
guys
be
think
cool.
of his All-Star performance? What do you guys think about the All-Star game?
Didn't really watch it. It was so garbage. I didn't.
See?
It's
was
hard.
so
It's hard. I
garbage.
watched the skills competition,
It was so
Yeah.
bad.
but
It was so bad.
I mean, yeah, no one wants to get hurt.
It-
They're all great players. But
Unpopular opinion. I think I'm going to like hockey this year because of what I saw at the All-Star competition, which I have
Really?
never said before
Really?
in my life, but I have
Why?
for one of the the trucking, the Pacific versus Central trucking, the first game of the competition, I died. I think it went back to the skills competition first. I love the inclusion of the women from the women's game.
I love
Thought
that.
that was smart. And it's funny, it ended on a note that perhaps couldn't be more negative for the NHL, and that was all the Pay Decker stuff, but couldn't be more positive for inclusion of women into the national game. And more people paid attention to that, which is wild, and a bad thing had to happen in order for a good thing to happen.
yeah, exactly. Like there was so much media on it by Saturday that it was incredible. So many people went back to watch it basically at that point.
So I think it was from the skills competition. I had joked with my buddies who do another podcast called Sportsfeld, and they were like, are you guys going to watch the skills competition tonight? They put a poll out on Twitter. And I was like, dude, there's a Raps game on, right? Raps weren't doing so great, and so I ended up watching the skills game. I loved what they did there. I hate that fucking passing one. It is slow. It's not entertaining.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Fastest
It's
skater,
terrible.
100%. I get
Yeah.
it. The who can stop the most pucks, whatever they want to call it. Sure,
that one's garbage too, though.
it's garbage for the goalies. It's great for everyone else.
The players, no one's trying. No one's trying.
They don't have to.
I know,
they have to put
but
on. It's the sports and entertainment
I know,
industry.
I get it, but it's just it's just a crock of shit. I think the whole weekend.
Tell us how you really feel.
You know what that they should take a page out of the NFL skills competition. I watched a bit of theirs
From the Pro Bowl?
From the Pro Bowl, not the game itself, but the skills. They had players playing dodgeball against each other.
Hilarious.
Very cool. They had the kickers playing tic-tac-toe on the upright.
But that's the advantage of doing something when everyone involved is out of season,
Yeah, that's a good point.
right?
Yeah.
Because
That's true.
it's.
That's true.
Because I think even if
That's a
you're
good point,
if
yeah.
you're to do a bunch of jokey stuff where they're not going to get it injured,
Right.
everyone would criticize it, be like, they should be focused on the next game,
Right.
not playing games with their friends.
Right.
What is this, the Love League? This is ridiculous.
That's true.
Thoughts on moving the All-Star game to June? What if they did that? If they
no,
did it
I don't think
right before the
No.
weekend before these.
Nah, you couldn't do that because the problem is as soon as all the teams that have been eliminated, so teams that didn't make the playoffs,
Right.
or teams that go out in the first
Oh,
round,
everyone's
those guys are
fucked
going
off
on vacation
because
they're-
it's 2 months ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you're not
exactly.
going to drag some. You're not going to call fucking Logan Couture who's in
Right, completely.
Bahamas and say, hey, you going to come for the All-Star game?
Very good point.
I don't know why I said
And
Logan
then
Couture. He
you
didn't even
could-
make the All-Star game this year. That's really weird selection, Frank.
Hot take.
Hot take.
Sure.
And then you
can-
Anyways, back to who do you want on the podcast?
On topic, off.
Yeah.
Off topic.
I was a
on
huge-
I was over it, so I'm
yeah,
going
good
back.
job, Holly. Way to,
Thank you, I appreciate
way to
it.
reel us back in there.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
I should have had show notes that I
Yeah.
just post on the screen and we can all just follow it.
I think
Frank can do the interview.
Frank can do the.
yeah. I really like Curtis Joseph just because he
Cujo.
was my idol as a kid, and
Yeah.
I would just be so nostalgic and
Keswick and Sutton,
and
boy.
thrilling.
I grew up in
to-
Hull Landing, which is like the closest village.
to interview him. But we actually have, I guess, to pump the show a little bit, we actually have 3 interviews coming up in the next 6 weeks or so with former Maple Leafs. Wow. We actually have Eddie Shack coming into our studio on Thursday. Or no, on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And that's going to be wild. 4-time Stanley Cup champion, and he was like wildly famous with the Leafs in the 60s and 70s.
He is eccentric too.
He's going to have some interesting things. And he actually is, Eddie, we think is actually banned from the Leafs. He's banned from the Leafs alumni box because he had a few too many pints and he swore a lot. And so
we're gonna ask him about it though.
Are
you?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Why
so
not?
his agent, I guess, if you
Why
want to call
not?
him.
You know, what is there to lose?
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, his agent, I guess, if you want to call him the agent, is
Handler.
When we spoke with him, he's like, "Yeah, Eddie will come on. Like, that's fine, but just be prepared because he has 0 filter." And we're like,
That's perfect.
"Perfect."
Neither do we.
Exactly.
That works out perfectly.
Yeah. We've got we have Nick Antropov coming on as well in March, and then the third one we won't jinx yet because we haven't quite confirmed it yet, but.
Nick Antropov, I think my 3rd ever interview was
really?
Nick Antropov.
Nick the Stick?
Oh yeah?
My second one was Alexei Ponikarovsky.
Really?
My first one, like not on the show. I mean, like when I was starting my career.
Okay.
And it was like Wendell Clark. Actually, that's a lie. There's Yuri Talusti, right? Which I don't
Yuri
really count
Talusti.
because he was like in the AHL at the time.
Yeah,
I think playing the second year.
Yeah.
And then it was Wendell Clark. I basically shit myself. Alexei Ponikarovsky. Then Nick Antropov. And I was like, what am I doing? They're going to find out I'm a fake.
Not at all.
I don't even phony. Yeah. You can find you guys on iTunes. I'm gonna guess the other one Spotify. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
100% Spotify. I've seen you on
Yep.
Spotify. Stitcher. Sure, you can find them on Stitcher.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you like the podcast download chaser app, you can find them there too. I just made that up.
Sure, and find them on social media at Jock and Jill Show.
At Jock and Jill Show.
Yeah.
I like to end each podcast the same every single time.
Sure.
So as we wrap up, from Frank, from Holly, from Dylan, from Luca, who knew dude about it, who no doubt is going to edit this at some point, please, please, please be good to yourselves.
Jockers and Jillers?
Jockers and Jillers.
Jockers and Jillers.
Eat your vegetables.
Oh, and eat your vegetables, I guess?
Absolutely, eat your vegetables.
I've been cooking Brussels sprouts lately, and I don't mind that. But I mean, listen, you know what? Let's have a real moment here. Vegetables, they suck to eat. They really do. But if you consistently eat them, and if you get the right serving every single day, not only will you live longer, you will look better and feel better.
Just put it
into
a
your old
smoothie.
age.
It'll go down a lot easier.
That too.
You got it all wrong. You're fired. Get out of here.
All right, we're gone.
Mic drop.